Sarah in the Facebook group needs some help. She's bringing her mobile bar business to an event. It's 300 guests. It's 5 hours. The drinks that she's in charge of or that are on her menu are the old fashioned vodka lemonade, or it's going to be a layered red, white, and blue lemonade, and that's for 3 hours of the event. And then the Cadillac, which is a margarita with a nice Grand Marnier float. And there's going to be a second bar there that's going to be also serving cocktails. I'm guessing it's different kinds of cocktails and also wine. And she did not mention what kind of event this is. I'm guessing it's not a wedding. Most people in these posts usually throw that out there. In my mind, I'm thinking like farmer's market, or there's going to be raffles and they're trying to raise money, or maybe it's a corporate event. But usually when it's not a wedding, the biggest thing to note here is it's not always 300 concurrent guests. That's pretty huge. And this number here, it's big, 300 people. It seems like it's daunting, but it doesn't mean 300 people are going to be there all at the same time. Those are things to note. So what I'm going to ballpark for, and this is my prediction, I bet she's only going to serve around 550 to 650 drinks. I know that number's low, but I've done this so many times where I've over-prepared, and I'm like, we didn't serve anything close to what I prepared for. But I would prep for around 750 to 900 drinks, especially with the help of the other bar. And if you really wanted to prepare, if this is a big-time event, maybe it's like a concert where everybody's fired up for it, and maybe more than 300 guests may show up, maybe prep for up to 1,250 drinks, something along those lines. You can even go a little bit higher. Here's the outcome that I believe is going to happen and what I would buy. So the Old Fashioned is not going to be the most popular drink out of all three of these. Old Fashions are great, but not everybody drinks those. I bet you're going to go through around 3 handles or 1.75 liters of bourbon. I think you're going to go through 2 jars of cherries, 3 of bitters, a bag of oranges. That's what I would get. It's going to get you around 90 to maybe 100 drinks if you're doing 2-ounce pours. But I would bring 8 bottles of bourbon, 6 jars of cherries, because those last 5 years as long as you store them well and you haven't opened them. I would get 6 bottles of the bitters. Again, those are like 2 to 3 years if you store them correctly. I would still get the same amount of oranges when those run out. That'll get you up to around 250 drinks. And if you did the Old Fashioned with 1.5 ounce pours too, you could do that. It'll get you even more. For the red, white, and blue lemonade, these are also going to be a bitch to put together because you have to layer them. You have to pour them on top of a spoon. Before events like this, I try to make things as easy as possible and save these layered drinks for something like a 75-head wedding, but you'll be fine. But I would do something like 5 handles of Tito's are most likely going to be poured, maybe less, especially with the 3 hours of service. I would get 6 bottles of Blue Curacao, 6 of Grenadine, 5 of the Costco lemonade jugs. And again, the numbers on the right signify probably what I would bring. And again, through all these drinks, me overbuying inventory, I'm assuming you have places to store the inventory, and these are all things that you are going to use in the future. We go through a ton of bourbon, a ton of Tito's. So these are easy things for you to just buy and bring with you and put in the trailer and give you that peace of mind. And you're probably not going to use all of them, but I hate seeing things being poured and seeing there's only 1 bottle left and trying to stretch them. Blue Curacao you can store for a long time. Same with the Grenadine, all this stuff, as long as you don't open them. And it's not in a hot container somewhere in the middle of the summer. So yeah, I would go with these numbers here. It'll get you at least 200 drinks, up to 400. Then the Cadillac, which I believe is most likely going to be your most popular drink and is probably going to be poured the most. The numbers here represent 1.5 ounce pour. A lot of Cadillacs do 2 ounces. And a lot of different recipes for Cadillacs as well. But when I hear a Cadillac margarita, Grand Marnier's always got to be floated on top. Some people don't. They'll do Cointreau and they'll mix it in, or they'll mix in the Grand Marnier. I do a 1/2 ounce of Grand Marnier floating at the top. So I would bring 7 bottles of Reposado tequila, up to 12. I would even think about, depending on if I talk to the event planner and they said this is going to be a big drinking crowd, or if it's a wedding, I would bring potentially more, especially for 300 people. But yeah, around 150 ounces of agave. That's probably 5 bottles of agave, something like that. I would make my own lemon and lime juice. I would go get the lemons and limes, and I have a juicer here. I would have around 400 to 800 ounces. You could do something like 400 ounces. And if you wanted to get some of the real lime juice from the grocery store that's in the bottles as backup, you can do that and store it. It's an option. Some people also just do lime juice in this drink. No real answer on this, but yeah, 280 to 480 drinks, depending on what you decide to go with. Hopefully this helped. And yeah, it's a daunting task when the crowd is this big, but again, it's not concurrent guests most of the time, and there's a second bar there. And the only thing that's going to throw a loop in this is if they have cocktails that suck or they're not very popular. Maybe something with scotch. Not a lot of people like scotch. It's an acquired thing, or maybe it's a gin-based drink. I don't know. Something that people just don't like, then I would pump these numbers up. But you have the help, and I think this will do it for you.